All right, so today we're going to talk about two-column proofs, what that structure looks like, how to set it up, and we're going to practice with something most of us are familiar with, which is algebra equations. So, I know not all of you have had algebra, so let's just do a quick recap with this problem here of x plus 3 equals 5x minus 8. So the goal is to get everything with x on one side and everything without x on the other side. So I'm going to take this x, and since it's a positive x, I'm going to subtract an x from both sides to get rid of it here and move it over, essentially. Right, so that cancels. So then we bring down our 3, bring down our equals. 5x minus 1x is a 4x. And then bring down our minus 8. Now we need to get that 8 over with the 3. So we have to do the same thing to both sides of an equation. So we're going to add an 8. Add an 8. These go away. 3 plus 8 is 11. Now to get x by itself, we have to get rid of that 4. So 4x means 4 times x. So to cancel out the 4, we have to do the opposite of times, which is divide. So we get x equals 11 over 4. So now let's put that into the format of a proof. Okay, there's a lot going on here. So typically in a proof, right, let's focus our attention here first, okay? So typically in a proof, you're going to be given a piece of information called our given statement, right? It'll have at least one. And the end result, which is what we're trying to get to, is our proof, right? So every problem will give you at least this much, right? So our first column is full of statements, right? So we always start with our given is our first statement, right? And then we have to kind of work through here. Our second column has our justifications, or our reasons is usually what I put. And that's what property, or how we know what the next step is, how we got that step, right? So we're going to practice this with our algebra proofs right now. Okay, so let's talk through this one. So we were given the equation x plus 3 equals 5x minus 8. So we write that down, and our justification or our reason for that is our given. We were given that information, right? So you should always be able to figure out line 1. So then line 2, right? Let me zoom in on this there we go. Right, so in line 2, right, we moved our x over, right? We got rid of that. We subtracted x from both sides to get this, right? So when we subtract something from the same side of an equation, right, that's our subtraction property of equality, right? We went over those in section 2.5. Okay, so now we're going to add 8 to both sides, right, which cancels that out, right, which is what gives us that 11. Okay, so we have 11 equals 4x. We got that by using the addition property of equality, right? We added 8 to both sides to get this. So the justification is how we got what's in that line. We added 8 to both sides to get here. Now, to get from here to here, we're dividing by that 4, right? So that's our division property, right, is what allowed us to go from here to here. And then finally, they flipped it around, and they just put x equals 11 over 4. So when you flip something, that's called your symmetric property. That just flips what order the equation is in. All right, so let's work through one together. Not what I wanted. Here we go. Okay, so we write down our given statements. Okay, so we have x over 10 equals 3, and y minus 5 equals 25. So here we're solving two equations. Okay, so let's ignore what we have in line 2 for now. And let's worry about this equation. So I always like to work them out over to the side, so I have room. So to get x by itself, x is currently divided by 10. We need to get rid of that dividing by 10. So we're going to multiply both sides by 10. So that gives us x equals 30, right? So I'm going to write that in line 3. Okay, how did we get x equals 30? What did we do? What did I do to both sides? Hopefully you're saying I multiplied by 10, right? So we multiplied both sides, so that's our multiplication property. Our little bird friend here is in the way. So multiplication property of equality, right? So abbreviate it as much as you need to. Okay, so that's as far as we can go with that one. Let's worry about what we have here in line 2. So we have y minus 5 equals 25. So to get y by itself, we will add a 5 here and add a 5 here. So we get y equals 30, right? So that will come here. And since we added the same thing to both sides, that one is our addition property of equality. Okay? So now we know that x equals 30 and we know that y equals 30. If you don't know where to go next, look at what you're trying to prove. We're trying to prove that x equals y, right? So we have enough information now, since we know that both of those are equal to 30, we can say that x is equal to y. And hopefully you guys remember what property that is. It starts with a T. Shout it out if you know it. Transitive, right? Right, so remember the transitive property says that if x is equal to something, then y is equal to that same something, then x and y are equal to each other. Right? So, you guys just did your first proof. See, that wasn't so bad. Okay, so our first step was always to write down our givens. Okay, so we know that m is equal to n, t is equal to m, and n plus p is equal to 2t. So this middle one looks like something we can work with. Right? We can't really do much with the others. Okay, so we're trying to get that p is equal to t. So we need a p and a t. All right, we have this n. And we know that n is equal to m. So let's change that out. Okay, so since those things are equal and we just plugged one in, that's called substitution, when you are just changing out one part of an equation. Okay, now we also know that m, so we know it's equal to n, that's just going to get us back where we started, which we don't want. M is also equal to t. So let's make that m that we just changed into a t. Right, so again, we are substituting. So now, if we try to get p by itself, because we need p by itself up here, we can subtract t. So So 1t minus 1t goes away. 2t minus 1t is just t. And we subtracted. So we got that p is equal to t. So that one's a little more complex than you guys really will be doing right now, but I want you to practice on the worksheet Coach Booth will give you. It'll have a couple of these where you're just solving basic equations and writing down how you solve each step.